What if everything you believe about learning English is wrong? The secret to fluency isn't studying harder, it's practicing differently with a few powerful counterintuitive techniques. To get all 20 tips and completely change how you learn, make sure you subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't miss a single part of this guide. English is not as hard as you might think it is right now. The real challenge, the secret key, is your approach. It's how you practice. If you practice in the right way, learning English can actually become easy and even fun. I know that some of you might be feeling frustrated. Maybe you have been studying for years, but you still struggle to speak. You might be thinking to yourself, English is so hard. Or, I just can't remember all of these words. Or, I don't understand the grammar. But let me ask you a simple question. Have you ever tried to learn a language like French, or German, or Arabic, or Chinese? Trust me if you ever do. You will quickly realize that English is actually one of the easiest languages in the world to learn. And why is that? Well, because English has a much simpler grammar. There are no gendered nouns like you find in Spanish or French. There are no complicated characters like in Chinese or Japanese. And the best part is that English is everywhere. Learning English is one of the best decisions you will ever make in your life. It opens up a world of new opportunities. Companies everywhere often prefer to hire people who can speak English. In many countries, being able to speak English can lead to a higher salary. It gives you so much confidence when you are traveling. You can go almost anywhere in the world and communicate with the people you meet. You can make new friends connecting with people from all over the world, from different cultures. If you dream of starting a business, you'll find that the global market runs on English, and of course, you can enjoy entertainment in its original form, watching movies, reading books, and listening to music without needing subtitles. English is not just another subject you learn in school. It is a life-changing skill. And today, I am going to give you 20 powerful tips that will actually help you speak English fluently. Every single tip is important, it's practical, and it is easy for you to follow. So let's begin with the very first tip. Tip number 1. The shadowing technique. One of the most powerful and truly effective ways to improve your speaking skills. Your pronunciation and your confidence is a technique called shadowing. So what is shadowing? Well, it's when you listen to a native English speaker and you immediately repeat what they say at the same time. You act just like a shadow that follows a person. How does it work? It's simple. First, find an English audio or video that you enjoy. It could be a podcast, an audiobook, a YouTube video, or even a scene from a movie. Put on some headphones so you can hear clearly and listen very carefully. As the person speaks, you repeat everything right after them. Try your best to copy their pronunciation, their tone, and even their speed as closely as you can. Why is this technique so powerful? Because it helps your pronunciation improve naturally. It trains your brain to start thinking in English without translating. It builds your confidence because you are speaking real English sentences. And it helps you to sound much more like a native speaker. Let's take a little example. Imagine you are watching a movie and an actor says, "I don't know what to say, but I feel so happy today." Instead of just listening, you would repeat it immediately, trying to match their feeling. "I don't know what to say, but I feel so happy today." If the actor speaks quickly, you try to match their speed. If they sound excited, you try to copy that emotion in your own voice. Practice this for just 10 to 15 minutes every day. And I promise you, your speaking skills will improve faster than you ever imagined. Tip number 2. What to do when you forget words. Imagine this situation. You are in the middle of a conversation talking to someone, and suddenly you forget a word. Your mind goes blank. You feel stuck, a little nervous, maybe even embarrassed. What should you do in that moment? The most important thing is not to panic. Instead, I want you to use a technique called descriptive speaking. This means instead of stopping the conversation, you just describe the word you forgot using simple English. For example, if you forget the word refrigerator, you could just say, "the thing that keeps food cold." Or if you forget the word umbrella, you could say, "the thing that protects you from the rain." And do you see? You don't need to stop the conversation. You just use easy words you already know to describe what you mean. And here is another little trick. If you forget a word, you can ask a question instead. Let's say you forget the word microwave. Instead of just staying silent, you could ask, "What's that thing called? The machine that heats food quickly." Most of the time, the other person will understand and say, "Oh, you mean a microwave." And just like that, you have learned the word naturally in a real conversation. This brings me to a really important point about fear. The fear of forgetting a word is something almost every learner experiences. It's a very real feeling. I'm curious, what do you usually do when this happens to you? How do you handle that moment of panic? Please take a moment to share your own experiences and tips in the comments below. I think we could all learn a lot from each other. Tip number 3. How to express yourself confidently in English. Many English learners know a lot of words, but they struggle to express their thoughts clearly. And why does this happen? It's usually because they lack a little bit of confidence, and they don't know how to structure their ideas. Here is how you can fix that. Start with simple sentences. For example, instead of trying to say a complicated sentence like, "The weather is extremely unpredictable today," you can just say, "The weather changes a lot today." It means the same thing, but it's easier and clearer. Use the phrases "I think" and "I feel" to share your opinions. For example, "I think this movie is great," or "I feel this book is very interesting." These simple phrases are a great way to start expressing your own ideas. And practice storytelling. Take a simple event from your day and explain it in English. For example, you could start with, "Yesterday I went to a cafe. I ordered coffee. It was delicious." Then slowly try to add more details. "Yesterday I went to my favorite cafe. I ordered a cappuccino with extra foam. It was the best coffee I've had this week." The more you practice expressing your thoughts in this simple way, the more confident you will become. Tip number 4. Learn English like a baby. The natural way. I want you to think about how babies learn their first language. Do they sit down and study grammar books? No, of course not. They listen, they repeat what they hear, and they copy the people around them without any fear of making mistakes. If you want to learn English faster, you should follow this same baby method. Listen to English every single day. Watch movies, listen to audiobooks, podcasts, and songs. Just let the sounds of English surround you, and speak without fear. Please do not wait for perfection. Just start talking. Imitate native speakers. When you hear a phrase you like, copy it. Copy their pronunciation. Let's say you hear someone say, "I have never been to Paris." Instead of trying to study complex grammar rules about the present perfect tense, just repeat that sentence, and then use it in your own life. For example, you could say, "I have never been to Japan," or "I have never eaten sushi." When you learn like a baby, you start to speak naturally without that constant fear of getting it wrong. Tip number 5. How to start a conversation with anyone in English. Speaking English isn't just about grammar or vocabulary. It's about communication. It's about connecting with other people. A great way to practice is to use simple conversation starters. You can talk about the weather. It's a classic for a reason. "It's so hot today, isn't it?" Or, "Wow, I love this cool weather." You can ask about daily life. Simple questions like, "How was your day?" Or, "What did you do this weekend?" show that you are interested in the other person. Or you can give a simple compliment. "I love your shoes." Or, "That's a nice watch." When you start with this kind of small talk, you feel less nervous, and the conversation can begin to flow more naturally. Tip number 6. Surround yourself with English every single day. The biggest mistake that many English learners make is treating English like a school subject. They think of it as something you study for an hour, and then you are done. But if you study for 1 hour, and then switch back to your native language for the rest of the day, your progress will be very, very slow. If you want to learn naturally and quickly, you need to surround yourself with English. The language needs to become a part of your daily life. Think again about how a child learns their first language. They don't study grammar books or take language tests. They just hear their parents speaking all the time. They watch TV in that language. They live inside the language. And that is exactly what you need to do with English. Start by changing the language on your phone to English. This might seem like a small step, but it forces you to interact with English every single time you use your phone. Next, listen to English music, watch English movies, and use English subtitles whenever possible. Even if you don't understand everything, your brain will start to recognize the words, the phrases, and the patterns of pronunciation. If you love scrolling on social media, then follow English-speaking content creators. Watch their videos and read their captions. The goal here is to make English a normal part of your daily routine. When English is everywhere around you, you won't even feel like you're studying. Instead, you'll just be learning naturally, just like a native speaker. Tip number 7. Talk to yourself in English. Your best practice partner is you. Many English learners feel shy about speaking because they think they don't have anyone to practice with. But here is the truth: you do not need a speaking partner to improve your English. You can practice by talking to yourself. I know it might feel a little strange at first, but it is one of the most effective ways to become fluent. Think about it. When you were a child learning your first language, you probably talked to yourself all the time while you were playing with toys or imagining different situations. This self-conversation helped you to develop your speaking skills without needing another person. You can do the same thing with English. When you are getting ready in the morning, describe what you are doing in English. "Now I'm brushing my teeth. I have a meeting today, so I need to wear something nice. What should I wear? Maybe the blue shirt." The more you talk to yourself, the more comfortable you will feel expressing your thoughts in English. You can even have pretend conversations with yourself. For example, imagine you are ordering coffee at a cafe. Practice saying, "Hi, I'd like a cappuccino, please. Can you make it extra hot?" By doing this regularly, you train your brain to think in English, and then, when you actually have to speak with someone, the words will come to you much more naturally, because you have already practiced them before. Tip number 8. Don't study grammar too much. Speak first. Fix later. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to speak English fluently is because they are too focused on grammar. Of course, grammar is important. But if you spend all your time worrying about getting every single rule perfect, you will never feel confident enough to speak. Many learners hesitate to say anything because they are afraid of making mistakes. But guess what? Even native speakers make grammar mistakes all the time. The difference is that they just keep talking. They don't stop to correct themselves in the middle of a sentence. So the lesson here is to focus on communication first. Just speak. You can always go back and fix the grammar later. Tip number 9. The power of storytelling. One of the best ways to remember new words and phrases is through storytelling. Our brains are naturally wired to remember stories much better than they remember long lists of words. So instead of just trying to memorize vocabulary from a book, try creating a short story using the new words you have learned. This makes the words more meaningful and much easier to recall. For example, imagine you have just learned 5 new words: adventure, mystery, discover, ancient, and treasure. Instead of just repeating these words over and over, you could make a little story. One day, I went on an adventure to a small island. There was a big mystery because nobody had ever visited that place before. As I walked through the jungle, I discovered an ancient temple. Inside, I found a hidden treasure chest filled with gold. By putting the words into a story, you connect them with emotions and images, making them so much easier to remember. Try this technique with every new set of words you learn, and you might find that you never forget them. Tip number 10. Use your phone as an English learning machine. Your phone can either be a tool that wastes your time, or it can be a tool that makes you fluent in English. The choice is yours. Instead of using your phone just for social media, turn it into your own personal English learning machine. Start by downloading English audiobooks and podcasts. Whenever you have some free time while you are commuting, cooking, or exercising, you can be listening to English. This will train your ears to understand spoken English naturally. Next, make sure your social media feed is filled with English content. Follow English pages. Watch short videos and read English captions. This way, every time you open Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, you are learning English passively without even trying. You can also use the voice notes feature on your phone to practice speaking. Record yourself talking about your day, then listen back to it, and see where you can improve. The key is to use your phone smartly so that every time you pick it up, you are getting one step closer to fluency. We've covered some really powerful ideas so far, from shadowing to storytelling. And we have many more practical tips to come that will help you on your journey. If you're finding these ideas helpful and you want to continue learning with me, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss out on the next part of our conversation and future stories that will help you improve. Tip number 11. Learn chunks of English, not individual words. A big mistake that English learners often make is trying to learn words one by one. But a much better way is to learn phrases and expressions as a whole chunk. This is how native speakers actually communicate. For example, instead of just learning the word appointment, learn the whole phrase, "I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow." Instead of just memorizing the word interested, learn the full chunk. I'm interested in learning English. When you learn English in these chunks, it becomes much easier to speak naturally because you already know how the words fit together. Tip number 12. Practice speaking with AI assistants. If you don't have someone to practice your English with, you can use the AI voice assistants on your phone like Google Assistant or Siri. You can ask them questions, respond in English, and have a little mini conversation. For example, you could say, "Hey Google, what's the weather like today?" Then when it answers, try to respond in English. "Oh, it's sunny. That's great. I love warm weather." These small interactions will help train your brain to think and respond in English. Tip number 13. Slow down. Speaking fast does not mean you are fluent. Many learners think that they need to speak very fast to sound fluent. But this is a mistake. Speaking quickly doesn't mean you are good at English. In fact, most truly fluent speakers talk slowly and clearly. Instead of rushing your words, focus on pronouncing them correctly and forming clear sentences. Speaking slowly also gives you more time to think in English instead of trying to translate everything in your head. Tip number 14. Learn through movies and TV shows. Watching movies and TV shows is one of the most fun ways to improve your English, but I want you to watch them actively, not passively. What does that mean? It means you should choose a short scene. Listen very carefully to the dialogue and then repeat what the actors say. Try to copy their pronunciation and their rhythm. If you don't understand something, you can turn on the subtitles, but always try to listen first before you read. Tip number 15. Turn your mistakes into learning opportunities. Making mistakes is a normal and necessary part of learning English. Instead of feeling embarrassed or upset when you make a mistake, I want you to learn from it. Every time you make a mistake, you should think to yourself, "Great, I just learned something new." The truth is, the more mistakes you make, the faster you will improve. Tip number 16. Stop translating in your head. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to speak English fluently is that they are translating every single sentence from their native language into English before they speak. This makes you slow, unsure, and very nervous in conversations. If you want to speak English fluently, you must stop translating and start thinking directly in English. But how do you do that first? As we said before, surround yourself with English as much as possible. A fun way to do this is to label everyday objects in your home with their English names. When you see a table, don't think of the word in your language. Just think, table. If you are walking down the street, try to describe what you see in your head using simple English. The sky is blue. A man is walking his dog. There is a red car parked by the store. The more you do this, the more natural it will become. Another great method is to practice self-talk. Stand in front of a mirror and just speak to yourself about your day. Today I woke up early. I made breakfast. Then I read a book. At first you might struggle to find the words, but over time they will start to come automatically and you will stop needing to translate. Your brain will learn to think in English and soon speaking will feel effortless. Tip number 17. Improve your listening skills first. Many people think that speaking is the most important skill in learning English. But in reality, listening is just as important, maybe even more important. If you want to speak English fluently, you need to develop strong listening skills first. The more you listen, the more natural English will sound to you, and the easier it will be for you to speak. To improve your listening, start by exposing yourself to English every single day. But here is the key. Listen to things that you find interesting. If you love movies, watch English films. Start with subtitles and then try watching without them. If you enjoy cooking, watch cooking shows in English. If you love music, listen to English songs and try to understand the lyrics. The more engaged you are, the more you will learn. Another great technique is to listen actively. This means not just hearing the words, but really focusing on how they are spoken. Pay attention to the pronunciation, the intonation, and the structure of the sentences. Try watching a short video, then pausing it and repeating what you hear. If you don't understand something, replay it a few times. One of the best exercises for listening is dictation. Choose a short audio clip, listen to it carefully, and try to write down exactly what you hear. Then you can check your notes against the original text. This will train your ears to catch all the little details in English conversations. And if you are struggling to understand native speakers, please do not worry. It is completely normal at first. The secret is consistency. If you listen to English every day, even for just 15 to 20 minutes, your brain will naturally start to recognize the words and phrases. And over time, your speaking will improve automatically, because your mind will already be familiar with how English is supposed to sound. Tip number 18. Think in English. We've talked about this before, but it is so important that I want to mention it again. One of the biggest obstacles to fluency is constantly translating from your native language to English. This process slows you down and makes speaking feel very difficult. Instead, you need to train your brain to think directly in English. Imagine you are walking in a park and you see a beautiful sunset. Instead of thinking, "Oh, this sunset is so beautiful," in your native language, and then trying to translate that into English, just try to say it directly in English from the very start. To practice this, you can describe things around you in simple sentences. If you are at home, you can think to yourself, "I'm sitting on the couch. The TV is on. I feel hungry." If you are shopping, you can think, "This dress looks nice. I need some fresh vegetables. Should I buy apples or bananas?" Another useful technique is the inner monologue method. Throughout the day, have a silent conversation with yourself in English. If you are feeling nervous before a meeting, you can think, "Okay, I need to stay calm. I should start by introducing myself. Then I will explain my idea." The more you train your brain to think in English, the less you will need to depend on translation. And over time, you will notice that the words come to you much faster, and speaking English feels much more natural. Tip number 19. Expand your sentences. Many English learners speak in very short and simple sentences because they are afraid of making mistakes. And while it is okay to start with basic sentences, you need to learn to expand them to sound more natural and fluent. For example, if someone asks you, "How was your day?" a basic response would be just "good." But to sound more fluent, you could say, "It was really good." "I went to the park in the morning and then I had lunch with my friend. We talked about our plans for the weekend." Let's take another example. Instead of just saying, "I like coffee," you could say, "I love coffee, especially in the morning. I usually drink it with a little milk and no sugar because I enjoy the strong taste." To practice this, take any short sentence you might say and try to add at least 2 more details to it. If you say, "I watched a movie," try to expand it. "I watched a really exciting movie last night. It was about a detective solving a mystery, and the ending was completely unexpected." Another great way to practice is by always answering questions in a full sentence. If someone asks, "Where do you live?" don't just say, "I live in India." Instead, you could say, "I live in India in a city called Mumbai. It's a very busy place with lots of people, amazing street food, and beautiful beaches." The more details you add to your sentences, the more confident and fluent you will sound. Just remember, you don't have to rush. Take your time to express your thoughts fully. Tip number 20. Learn to speak in full conversations. Many English learners can say individual sentences perfectly well, but when it comes to having a full back-and-forth conversation, they struggle. This usually happens because they only practice single words and short phrases instead of practicing real conversations. The best way to fix this is to practice connecting your sentences together to make a full conversation. For example, imagine someone asks you, "What do you do?" instead of just saying, "I am a student." Try to continue the conversation naturally. You could say, "I am a student. I study business at the university. I really enjoy learning about marketing, and in the future, I want to start my own company." Now, if the person replies, "That sounds interesting. What kind of business do you want to start?" you should be able to continue the conversation. "I want to start an online clothing store." I love fashion, and I think it would be exciting to design and sell my own clothes. Do you see how the conversation keeps going? If you only say one sentence and then stop, the conversation feels awkward. But if you add more details and ask questions back, the conversation will flow naturally. A great way to practice this is by imagining different situations and practicing the full conversation in your mind. For example, think about ordering food at a restaurant. Instead of just thinking, "I want a pizza," imagine the full conversation. Waiter: "Hello, what would you like to order?" You: "Hi, I'd like a large cheese pizza, please." Waiter: "Would you like any drinks with that?" You: "Yes, I'll have an orange juice." Waiter: "Great choice. Anything else?" You: "No, that's all for now. Thank you." By practicing full conversations like this, you will be able to speak more smoothly and naturally in real-life situations. Start with small conversations and then slowly build up to longer ones. The key is to connect your ideas instead of stopping after just one sentence. And our final tip, number 21. Use hand gestures and body language while speaking. Did you know that using your hands and your body language while you are speaking can actually help you feel more confident and speak more fluently? It's true. When we use gestures, we activate different parts of our brain that make speaking feel easier and more natural. Native speakers do this all the time without even thinking about it. For example, if you're explaining directions, you might use your hands to show left and right. If you are describing a big problem, you might spread your arms wide to show its size. If you are talking about time, you might point to an imaginary clock on your wrist. This makes your speech more engaging for the listener, and it also helps you to remember your words more easily. Try practicing in front of a mirror or recording yourself speaking while using hand gestures. You will probably notice that your words flow more smoothly and you feel more relaxed. This technique is especially helpful if you feel nervous when you are speaking English. When you move your hands naturally, your body feels more comfortable and your mind focuses less on the fear and more on the conversation. If you have made it this far in our video today, I want to tell you something very important. You are already on the path to fluency. The fact that you are here, that you are listening and learning and trying to improve, means you have the dedication to succeed. And that is the most important thing. Learning English is not about being perfect. It's not about memorizing thousands of words or understanding every single grammar rule instantly. It is about progress. It is about speaking a little better today than you did yesterday. It's about making mistakes, learning from them, and moving forward. Maybe today you only know a few words. Maybe your sentences are still short and simple. Maybe you still feel nervous when you have to speak. That is okay, because with daily practice, with patience, and with confidence in yourself, you will get better. Imagine yourself just a few months from now, speaking English fluently, expressing your thoughts easily, making new friends from other countries, traveling without fear, or even getting that dream job you've always wanted. It will happen. But it will only happen if you do not give up. You don't need to be the best in one day. You just need to be a little better than you were yesterday. So take a deep breath and maybe even say this out loud with me. I can speak English. I am improving every day. I will not give up. Now keep going. Keep practicing. And most importantly, keep believing in yourself. And one day, you will look back and realize that you have become the fluent English speaker you always wanted to be. I believe in you. Now it's your turn to believe in yourself. And that's where our lesson for today concludes. This one was a real journey, wasn't it? We covered so much. I am so curious to hear your take on it all. What were your final thoughts? Do you have any lingering questions about why a certain tip is so effective, or about the characters in my little stories? Please leave all your opinions, your theories, and your questions down below in the comments. I truly love reading every single one and building this conversation with all of you. Thank you for learning with me today.